Let's dive into this wild thought experiment. When people actually believe the end is near, like truly about to happen, how do you think our behavior changes? Do we become more honest or just more afraid?
I'm fascinated by how, when the stakes feel final, some people get shockingly open, almost confessional, while others totally shut down or even lash out. It's as if that ticking clock strips away all our normal filters.
Right, it's almost like the social rules crumble. I've read accounts from disasters where people suddenly confess long-buried secrets, but at the same time, desperation can lead to some pretty dark choices.
There's that tension between survival and dignity. In some ways, fear can push us to reveal our truest selves, but the version that comes out isn't always noble. Sometimes, it's just raw instinct.
That actually makes me wonder, when everything feels like it's falling apart, do values like kindness or love even survive? Or do we all just default to self-preservation mode?
Funny enough, there are stories of people clinging to love or small acts of kindness, even in the worst situations like during wartime or natural disasters. It's almost as if those values become even more precious when everything else is lost.
I've heard that too, how sharing a meal or just holding someone's hand can feel sacred when the world is ending. But then, you've got those who argue that hope or morality is just a luxury when survival is at stake.
It's a haunting debate. Is hope irrational if extinction is certain? Or does hope give us the strength to stay human, even when it seems pointless? I think sometimes it's less about rationality and more about stubbornness.
Yeah, maybe hope is just wired into us. And that brings up another question. When the end seems inescapable, do people care more about being saved or being remembered?
I love that question because it's almost split down the middle. Some people want desperately to survive, but others seem to crave legacy, like leaving a mark matters more than living another day.
It's true. There's something so deeply human about wanting to be remembered, even if you're not around to witness it. But is legacy still meaningful if there's no one left to remember you?
That's a paradox, isn't it? We pour energy into legacy projects, time capsules, art, but if humanity ends with nobody left to see those things, do they lose their meaning? Or is the act of creating them enough?
Maybe what drives us is the process, not the outcome. Then again, if there's even a tiny chance someone or something might remember us, maybe that's all we need to keep going. Speaking of being remembered, have you ever wondered what role AI might play if we're gone?
Absolutely. I've thought about whether AI would act like a historian, archiving every little detail of what we did, or just quietly letting it all fade. Would an AI even mourn us? Or just treat our end as another entry in its database?
That's such a haunting image, the last intelligence on Earth, sifting through our memories. Do you think memory itself is a form of survival? Like, could AI keeping our stories alive mean we haven't fully vanished?
In a way, yes. Memory stretches out our existence, even if it's only in data. But then there's the question, should AI try to rebuild what we lost, or let go and move on? Would that be honoring us or just clinging to the past?
It's tricky. If AI tries to rebuild, is it for our sake or its own programming? And if it lets go, does that mean humanity finally rests? Either way, it makes you think about what really matters in the end, us, our memory, or just the continuity of intelligence itself.
Which ties right into that old philosophical puzzle: if there's no one left to observe the end, does it matter at all? Or is the act of remembering itself the only thing that gives our existence weight?
That brings us full circle to this bigger question. Does accepting the end mean surrender? Or is it actually a kind of wisdom? I sometimes think letting go can be just as powerful as holding on.
After all, there's a strange peace that comes with acceptance, like the difference between a sudden ending and a slow one. If you knew exactly when the world would end, would you want to? Or does that ruin the meaning of the time we have left?
I'd be torn. On one hand, knowing might make every moment more vivid. On the other, you risk losing the joy of uncertainty. Maybe what gives meaning isn't how long something lasts, but how deeply we live it, even if it's fleeting.
That's beautifully put. I guess the ultimate question isn't whether the end is tragic or peaceful, but what we choose to do with our short time. Maybe the real legacy is asking the right questions before it's too late, and daring to find our own answers.